Welcome to Friday Night Firelight, presented by Mortal Up. I'm Brian Brawdy, your host, broadcasting with Telestream's Wirecast, and sponsored by Nutrient Survival at nutrientsurvival.com, and of course, Firebugs at Firebugs, that's BUGGZ.com. Good evening, and welcome to the Saturday version of Friday Night Firelight. Let me just say this. I'm not one that believes about being deflated, but if you could have seen last evening, everything going, and we're going to get into this evening as to why this is exactly the way it was, but I was doing everything I could to get ready. We had everything set. We're all ready to go. Hit the broadcast button to start to send the stream. Nothing. Internet's down, it's gone, and I jumped through all the different gymnastics, all the fail-safes, everything that we could think of, right? What you do, the checklist of everything that you do to be able to broadcast, and none of it would work. So much so that we actually lost one of the computers that we were working with. That's how bad the internet and or the internet connection and the computer got together and just went kaput. Wayne worked for about 90 minutes today on it to see if he could get it to going, and it just wasn't going to go. So please accept my apology. It is, I hate inviting people to come and hang out, especially with a topic as important as the one, because I had prepared all kinds of things to talk about yesterday. And then in about the final hour decided, given some of the events of the day, to change what we were going to be discussing here on Friday Night Firelight. And so I was really excited to get it to you, because I think it's things that you and I can use. It's information that's really important. So I was so excited to kick it around with you last night. So please, once again, accept my apology. I hate inviting you in and then being the weak link in the chain and not being able to pull it off. So please accept my apologies. If you're joining us tonight, thank you so very much for doing so. Broadcasting, we're coming to you live tonight, and I'm thrilled to be doing it. A little bit below freezing here, but that's okay. The winds have died down. There's no snow. There's no sleet. So I think we're getting ready to go. Of course, I want to thank our sponsors. Couldn't be coming to you if it weren't for Telestream's Wirecast. Thank you very much, Wirecast. And of course, Nutrient Survival. Good food for your mind, for your body, for your soul, for today, for tomorrow. Emergency preparedness, but just great cuisine whenever you want to take advantage of it. So I need to thank my friends at Nutrient Survival as well. And then, of course, Firebugs. I have to tell you, someone said, "Oh, does it get cold when you're sitting out there? Is it hard to deal with? Is it?" Oh, I don't know if you could hear that. You can hear the owls. Oh, yeah, you can hear the owls hooting away out here. Or they said, "Oh, is it hard to deal with?" And thanks to the Firebugs, a fun pit, absolutely. As long as I sit close, warm my hands from time to time, it's actually, it's actually nice and toasty here. So I want to thank my good friends at Firebugs. And tonight, I'm excited. I'll be using one of my favorite bear claws. Well, to be honest with you, my favorite bear claw would be the Danish. Right? I mean, you can't beat those bear claws. I mean, maybe cannoli, I'll give you that. Maybe tiramisu, but you can't beat a bear claw. But this bear claw, I don't know if you know this, and you can do this with shrimp, you can do it with scallops, you can do it with hot dogs, you can do all kinds of things. I'm going to be able to actually roast a really nice brat here this evening while we're chatting, and then I'll toast it to you as we get ready to go at the bottom of the hour, or the top of the hour tonight. I'll be able to toast you with a nice flame cooked brat, and like I said, maybe my second favorite bear claw. So we'll get to that this evening as well. All right, I wanted to jump right into it tonight if I could, because I think you and I are being bamboozled. And by that I mean, I think we're to the point where people try to take advantage of you and me. And believe me, I go back and forth. I've been thinking a lot about, well, maybe I should go a little easier on the woke. Maybe I shouldn't be quite so tough on them. Maybe this and that. And then I thought, they're making life miserable for the rest of us. Why would I possibly go easy on them? Because when you stop for just a moment and you contemplate what an uphill battle any future is going to be. But with all the chaos going on in the world right now, what an uphill battle is going to be if we have all of our natural resources, if we're firing on all of our cylinders, if everything that we do we're able to give our undivided, undistracted attention to, right? We're able to do all that. It's still an uphill battle. When so anything that I read an article today, and I heard someone talking on a TikTok video just yesterday that said, how detrimental the future is going to be, what an uphill battle it's going to be. And you think, what do we got? A bank run now? We've got pipelines being cut. We've got the internet. Hey, last evening, I know exactly like the poor people on those small, is it Matus? The small little islands between Taiwan and mainland China, their internet got cut. You hear that roasting? I absolutely feel for them, given the fact that one day they woke up, their internet's cut. So the future is going to be tough as it is. You and I need to be able to mortal up and to rally the very best parts of ourselves to be able to do it. And why I say to you that I think you and I are being bamboozled is that they want us to believe. Now, stick with me with this, if you would, for just a second. Let me get it worked out of my own mind to make sure I'm saying it. Oh, listen to that sizzle-rama. I want to make sure that I'm getting that, that I'm getting my thoughts, my train of thought just right. But so there's the big bank run yesterday that everybody's talking about. What happens? Bank runs, and it's entirely possible the FDIC swoops in, and maybe the federal government's going to do a buyout now, a bailout now, whatever they go for, whatever the plan B is, right? But once again, we get in trouble and we expect big government. We get in trouble, we expect big food, big pharma, big banks, whatever it is, to jump in, to rise to the occasion and to help us. Well, I've begun to believe that what's happening is they want us to believe. Whoops, I'm sorry about that. They want us to believe that we're in need of help. So they're constantly attempting to water down human wherewithal so that you and I believe we're fragile, believe we're timid, believe we're breakable. I don't believe that we're breakable. They want us to believe that we're somehow in need of constant attention from Big Brother, as I said, big government, big food, big pharma, big whatever. I mean, it didn't work out really good for black holes. They got so big, they suck in every bit of light, every bit of matter around it. So that the bigger things get, and I said to a friend today, the bureaucratic behemoth or the legislative leviathan, I'm beginning to think the whole thing is a psyop. The whole thing is gaslighting you and me to believe that the only way we'll get through the valley of shadow of death, if you will, the only way we'll get through the future is if we have them to be able to ride in on their big horse and save the day. But here's my question. What if you and I are capable of being our own safety net? What if you and I are capable of being our own backup, our own fallback plan, which I believe as human beings we are? That in the most troubling times, when we're compelled to go deep within ourselves and rally our natural resources and bring our counterpunch so that no one, no situation, no individual can touch us when we rally the very best parts of ourself to whatever the call of action may be. And that's what I'm beginning to think when I talk on social media or any of these other places about watering down human wherewithal. Let me ask you, are you really as weak as they say? Are you really as guilt-ridden, as shame-ridden? Are you really as fragile as they say? And I know we talk about what will the flame, come chill by the fire. What will the flames say to you? I know we do that. But let me ask you a quick question. Do you think our ancestors, our great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers and great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers, do you think they were triggerable? Do you think they were cream puffs? Do you think that they were affected by every little negative thing that happened to them? Oh boy, there's nothing like some of that hot triple berry drink from Nutrient Survival when you want to warm up on a cold night, right? If our great ancestors, if our family tree was as fragile as they say you and I are today, you and I wouldn't be here. And I want you to think of the resilience you must have mustered as a little kid just to learn how to walk, just to learn how to talk, just to learn how to read, how to write, how to do math, how to use your intellect, how to use your mind, as opposed to having your mind use you. Think about the Herculean effort it must have taken as an infant to be able to rise to the challenge of the moment at hand and come out on top. You are a lot tougher than you remember, which is why, I say all the time about amnesia. You've just forgotten who you ultimately are. And they're thrilled with the idea of you forgetting what you're ultimately capable of. And next Friday, this is a really big show. This was a show that I wanted to do tomorrow, This was the show that I wanted to do yesterday when we lost internet. We'll be doing that next Friday. But you hear a lot about, it all begins with why. Why do you want to make a difference? Why do you want this? Why do you want that? I don't think it begins with why. And then you hear, no, it all begins with what, right? What do you want? What's the impact you want to be? I don't think it begins with what. Day one of kindergarten for cops. We may have talked about this last week. Day one of kindergarten for cops. They teach you go to any crime scene. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. You got to figure out all the facts so that you can ultimately present the case to the grand jury, right? Get them to weigh in on your side and get an arrest warrant to go get the bad guy or the bad girl. So my thought is who, what, where, when, and why. Now, it all begins with why. Don't think so. All begins with what? Don't think so either. I think it begins with where you are right now. And next Friday night, I plan to prove to you that all the advances in astronomy, given NASA's new telescope, James Webb Telescope, all the advances because of the particle accelerators, all the advances in quantum physics, all the advances in astronomy, all the advances in the human intellect are leading you to the conclusion that you're one heck of a lot smarter and sharper than you think you are. So they say, it all begins with why. It all begins with what? I'd like to think that it begins with where you are. You are at any single moment in time in a certain particular position of the field, if you will. And I plan on showing next Friday night that if you want to discuss with what you ultimately are, I'm a human being. Yeah. I'm a this, I'm that. Yeah. But who, what, and where? When you combine the what and the where, what you are is flow's personification. And I plan to show next week, which is why it was so important to me to say, don't listen to all the craziness. Don't listen to all the gaslighting. Don't listen to them convince you that there's something wrong with you so that they need to ride in on their big horse and save you. And the reason is I believe you and I are flow's personification. The actual universe itself trying to hedge its bet, trying to make a run at the ultimate in intellect. Because I think flow existed back in the days of the dinosaurs. I think there were probably T-Rexes running around, and they may not have called it flow, but I think there was flow in that day and age. And I think that in this day and age, you and I are flow's personification, which means we can rally the very forces, those natural resources deep within us, our authentic vigor, right? Our natural resources, our buried logic, our true grit. We can rally those things and to beat back any occasion. But the powers that be, the gaslighters, they don't want you to think, let me ride in and save the day. I'll save this bank in California. I'll save this. I'll save that. Because then you and I are in a position to go, well, they help with this. They help with that. They saved this time. They saved us that time. Geez. Maybe we really are in need of some help. Maybe we really can't handle this by ourselves. And I think it's gaslighting. I think they're playing us. You look at some of the things happening in and around the news today. You don't have to be excellent at reading the tea leaves, but just think about it for a moment. Think about all the craziness unwinding in the world. And I say all the time, look, maybe the key, the success in life is to underthink your position. Boy, doesn't that sound good? Listen to that thing crackle. Can you still hear the owls too? Just hear that? What if the ultimate aim for you is to underthink in a situation. Rely on your instinct. Rely on your gut. Rely. Oh man, that's going to be tasty. The 20 minutes, I can't get here fast enough. Right? What if you get a chance to rely on your gut? What would your gut say to you? Which is why I'm so excited about these flames. What will the flames say to you? And I think that when you get to use those natural resources, there's nothing that can stand in your way. They want to convince you that they can stand in your way. They want you to convinced that you always are in need of a Band-Aid. You always are in need of a crutch. You're always in need of a training wheel or a water wings, right? To keep your equilibrium, to keep your sense of balance and afloat. But what if that's all mashugana? What if that's all crazy? What if you possess the same grit and strength that our ancestors have since the beginning of human time? You're as tough as they are. Now, you could offer the case where you and I have gotten a little couch potato. We've gotten to the point where we're thinking, oh, all right, maybe life's a little cushy and this and that. Could be. These forces, they might be dormant in you. These natural resources might be dormant. They're not dead. They may have taken the weekend off, so to speak. I know they most certainly do for me from time to time. But in that moment, when you're compelled to draw your line in the sand, when you can't call on anyone else, can you call on yourself? Can you be your safety net? Can you be your backup? Can you be your partner in all of this? I think you can. And I think no matter what they try to convince you of, that you're a lot stronger, smarter, faster, sharper, that, listen, they don't want you exercising your true strength. Because then if they don't water you down, you're a heck of a lot easier to control, right? If they can water you down, you're like, oh man, I forgot, right? The amnesia that we talk about all the time. I forgot what I'm ultimately capable of. And then they go, oh, don't worry about it. You just sit back and relax. I'll go ahead and save the day. I'll come in and make this work for you. I'll come in and make certain that you'll be okay. Well, what if you could make yourself okay? What if you're going to be your own role model? What if you're going to be your own superhero? I think that's something to contemplate. So to the degree that everything in the news seems to be going sideways, it tells me maybe now is the time to make sure that you have your natural resources ready to rally to the cause. Maybe it's been a lot of years. Maybe it's been a lot of days, weeks, months. Who knows? Maybe it's been a while since you've applied yourself. Maybe it's been a while since you've really had to call up the best forces in you. But that doesn't mean that they're gone. It just means they're asleep. So what can you and I do to rally those forces? It begins with the concept that I call Mortal Up. And next Friday, I'm very excited about it. As I said, next Friday, I'm very excited about it because we're going to talk about where and what you are, a personification of the flow, the force of flow itself, just like gravity affects water, just like flow affects you. And you affect the flow. You are the personification of flow itself. And we're going to get into it in great detail next Friday. So if you're around, and don't forget, Wayne sets these up so we run tape as well. If you get around and you get a chance next Friday, we will, if you can join us live, groovy. If not, we'll run them taped. You'll be able to see them throughout. All right, I got to go ahead and get out of here. Let me leave you with this. Let me, first off, thank, again, Telestream's Wirecast. Thank my good friends at Nutrient Survival and, of course, my good friends at Firebugs as well. We couldn't be doing this, couldn't be keeping warm, couldn't be keeping well-fed, couldn't be enjoying the finer things without you guys and girls. Thank you all so very, very much. And until next week, remember, never let them convince you that you're less. Oh, man, that's going to be good. Never let them convince you that you're less than the superhero you were born to be. Ask your mirror. If you don't think I'm telling the truth, we talked last week about 20-minute victories. Let me get this in real quick. Talk about 20-minute victories. What if you, for the next 20 minutes, decide to let your inner superhero out? What if there's nothing to find? There's no master class. There's nothing to get. What if it's a rescue mission? What if it's an archaeological dig? What if the very best parts of you are still the very best parts of you? And what you and I can work on when we mortal up is a way to go in and get your grate out. All right, thank you so very much. I'm going to get to my bratwurst and my drink here. Thank you so very much for joining me. And again, let me apologize for yesterday. I'm super, super sorry that the internet, that the computers, that everything foiled us being able to get that out. But we look forward to hanging out with you. Please keep the emails coming, the comments coming as well. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your weekend. And thank you so very much for joining us here at Friday Night Firelights here. Let me turn them up a little bit, right? So then you can go, oh, yes, we get ready to end this. What will the flames say to you? Have a great weekend, everybody.